The universe is on your side more than you've ever thought, more than you believe. And I'm going to tell you why I think that. It's something that I truly believe in, and it's something that I'm experiencing to a certain degree. But what I think is that we can have 100% trust in the universe, and I also think that we actually don't need money and that we don't need to get to a crappy job like for some people sorry, for some people, maybe some people do, I'm not sure. But like what my belief is, for example, that if you're in an apartment and you need to pay a rent and you don't have the money to pay your rent, that the universe is going to bring the money to you somehow, magically. I truly believe in this. And so now the question is, when does that work and when doesn't it work? I think in most cases it will work as long as it's the only option that's left. Like you have no more money on your account, there's nothing left anymore, and you're like, well, please help me. I'm done. And then the universe is going to help you. But I also think that if your biggest fear is to have to move out of your apartment and to become homeless or stuff like that, and if you obsess about it, then you're probably not going to get the money from the universe to pay your rent. So it's kind of like a balance between needing something like materially and like really needing it, but also not depending on it too much. And the reason why is I think that we are the ones who create or shift to the realities we want. My model of reality is like this is a field of infinite parallel realities, and through our emotions and thoughts, our consciousness moves through these like slides of reality. And so if you're too much like obsessed about something, or if you fear something too much, it means that you don't trust in your own ability to go to the reality that you want. And therefore, if you doubt your own power, your own just like abilities, it's not going to happen, because then it shows you that you don't actually believe in your abilities, and you're so powerful that if you don't believe in your abilities, that's the illusion that you're going to create in the world, and you're going to create the illusion that you don't have any abilities, and so you're gonna have the situation that sucks, because that's kind of what you're shifting to. And so I have not experienced such an extreme situation as paying a rent and I didn't have money, like but I've had people who have like told me about this. There's a famous blogger, Steve Pavlina, one of my favorite personal development people, and he tells the story of on his blog of how he tipped from scarcity to abundance. And at one point, I think at one point he really was kicked out of his apartment and had to sleep in his car. But also at one point, after being in debt for like 5 years, $150,000, he decided that money couldn't have such an impact on his happiness anymore. Like he didn't want to have this anymore. And he thought those are just digits on a screen. It's not possible that they determine how I feel. I'm giving the power to these numbers. And so he didn't give a shit anymore. And I don't know exactly like what happened, but he didn't go homeless. He had a new apartment or something, maybe slept in his car for a week. And then he just didn't give a shit about being homeless anymore. And he was like, well, if it has to happen, I'm just going to be homeless. I'm still going to be able to run, to go on the beach in Los Angeles, to talk to people on the street, to be loving, to meditate, to go like read in a public library or stuff like that. And so he didn't give a shit anymore. He was like, the fear was gone. He was like, whatever happens, give it to me. I don't care. And then what happened is that he was in his apartment, had no money anymore, and every time he had to pay his rent, like the money continued coming in. So this is like kind of what happened. I'm not sure about the details, but and I've also talked to someone who had this happen to him also. He was like a student of mine when I teach languages, and I taught French to him. And so he wasn't even a guy who believed in the law of attraction. But what happened to him was that he had problems in his life, and all sorts of problems. And he converted to Christianism and like really had faith in God. And at one point in his life, so after that conversion, he was really struggling financially. And at one point, I think it was the same story. Like he was in his apartment, had no money anymore, nothing. And he believed that like he had shifted somehow, and he believed that God would help him, and that he didn't need to worry that much anymore. And so what he told me, and which is like crazy, is what kept happening is that he had to pay his rent, and every time, like just kind of, that's how he frames it, God came up with the money for him, and he didn't have to do anything. And this happened like for a month, a month, a month, and he didn't need to work, or I don't remember if he worked or stuff, but he didn't have money to pay his rent, and it somehow showed up. So for me, like, this is the proof that and again, I don't have the proof because I didn't go through it myself. It's just a belief that helps me, and maybe one day I will have to go through this. But my belief is that no matter what, the universe is going to help you. It's not going to fuck you, but your part of the contract is to believe, to know that you have the power first. This is, I think, the most powerful thing. You are the universe. Also be humble, like you are the universe, but at the same time you don't really know who you are because you're identified with your thoughts and stuff like that, you know. So what you think you are is not the universe. What you think you are is bullshit, but what you really are is the universe, if it makes sense. And so I think that somehow it's just like everything works out. And I've noticed this in my life with smaller things, like for example, some days, like I was going to my new work and I was feeling like shit. I was tired, I had nausea, digestion problems, like everything. I was super scared, my anxiety was triggered, and somehow, like, in these days I was like thinking, I was having negative thoughts, but at the same time I'm at a point in my life where I don't care anymore what will happen so much, because I truly trust life. And somehow, like, things worked out and nothing bad happened. And I was like really in a position where I was, ooh, if the universe wants to fuck me right now, he can, because I'm really weak. But nothing happened. And I wasn't thinking this. I was like, no matter what happens, I don't give a shit anymore. I don't want to suffer anymore. And I think that's kind of the perspective that's useful in life. It's when you stop caring that much anymore, and you've seen some proofs that really things are not working yet like you think in the universe, like you're a physical human in a physical universe and everything is random. This is complete garbage. It's not random. It's not random at all. It's like it depends on how you feel, how you like your beliefs and what you think of reality, and it really has an impact on your life. And so first what you can do is start to notice it with small things. I noticed that, for example, with when I go to buy groceries, and there are not a lot of parking spots, and it's super crowded, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use this opportunity to see if this works. I truly believe that it will work anyways, because I don't believe in physical universe. I believe that we're just shifting through parallel realities. So I'm just gonna manifest the one that's perfect for me, and this makes things easier. And every time I find the perfect parking spot, or almost, or sometimes I don't have the perfect one, but I'm like, okay, what's the alternative? And I find one that's maybe in a parallel street or something. I've never had a problem to find a parking spot or parking slot. I don't know how you say this. So you can test it out with small things, like believing that, or trusting that you will have your train, or trusting that you will find a parking spot, or trusting that you will find a new recipe. Like, go small and easy, and you will see it's super fun. and your trust in the universe will increase, and then maybe you'll end up like really trusting. It takes probably like time, and depending on what your beliefs are about reality, it will also like have a big influence on it. But it's like your part of the job is trusting, and not thinking too many, not doubting too much, and not having too many negative thoughts, not panicking. But I find that even when I have negative thoughts, it kind of works. So it's really powerful. So trust the universe, it has your back no matter what. Thanks for listening.